Hey, hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jesse, and today I'm starting a reading vlog where I read some of your favorite books from the year of 2023. I went over on the community tab here on YouTube and asked you guys to submit your best books of 2023 and your worst books of 2023. Clearly, I am also going to be doing a vlog where I read your worst books of 2023. Stay tuned for that. I ended up picking out 3 commons and picking out 3 books. 2 are books that I already owned, and one I ended up getting from the library. I'll admit, doing videos like this always make me a little nervous due to the fact that, like, just because you're subscribed to me does not mean that we will have the same reading taste. So just because some of you guys love these books, it doesn't mean that I too will also enjoy them. So that always like scares me. And I don't want to like get on here and be like, I hated your favorite book. Like that's not fun for me. But I'm also more than sure that some of you guys have read some of my favorite books and been like, boy has questionable taste. What is this guy even reading? I did comb over all the submissions and made sure that I picked out books that I felt like I would be interested in. That way, maybe I will end up on the positive side of things here. So hopefully that lands me in a place where I end up loving all of the books in this video. I put a poll up for my channel members to see which book I should read first, and I'm going to check the results now. It's only been up for a few hours, so I'm not sure if enough people have voted in the poll, but whatever the result is, I'm gonna run with it. Let's see here. Okay, the book that won in the poll is A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. How many people voted? Only 15 of my channel members voted out of like 44 or something like that, but I am gonna take that and run with it. So the first book that I will be reading for this vlog is A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. I have this beautiful, stunning, amazing Illumicrate edition that have these really fantastic stenciled edges. They have fan art on the inside, like you're joking. The foiling on the actual hardback. I will say that books like this, I always am really scared. Oh, that made a squeak. I'm always really scared to read my special editions because like I don't want to get my grimy, musty, gross hands all over these books. I say that as if I'm like a really dirty and gross person. I promise I'm very clean. Look at my hands, they're so clean. But I still don't want to like ruin this, but it's gonna be fine. I did at one point have the book of the month edition of this book, but like I got rid of it because I was like, I don't need 2 copies of this book, so I just kept the pretty one, of course. But now looking back on it, I wish I wouldn't have gotten rid of my book of the month copy because I could have just read from that and not cared about getting my gross little fingers all over it. Even though I've already clarified, my hands are in fact clean. In this book, we are following our main character named Jack, who has been sent off to the mainland to study music, but then one day he is called back to the island that he grew up on, as young girls have begun disappearing from the enchanted island. And Jack has been called to help find them by using his musical abilities in order to summon the spirits. I feel like Rebecca Ross's books have been popping off lately. I've heard great things about this one, and I've heard great things about some of her other books. I'm not sure if there's like a full-on romance in this one. I imagine it will lean into that because when I was reading the description, it sounds like Jack partners up with somebody that he's rivals with, so I feel like it could be like an enemies to lovers situation. Ideally, it would be like an enemies to friendship situation, but we'll see what happens. I am very intrigued and I'm excited to get into this one. I feel like it's going to be really magical, and I love the idea of having music playing a really strong part in the story, so I'm looking forward to this. I am going to be making this a lot more of a vlog than I normally do. I am always very insecure when it comes to vlogs for some reason. I feel like they have to be like super aesthetic and super perfect, and I just kind of want to be better at like not putting so much pressure on myself to make things super aesthetic. So I will be updating you guys as I read this book, as I get deeper into it, and I'm super excited about it. It is a very dreary day outside. We had freezing rain last night, and the grayness and the yuckiness has really been putting a damper on my mood. I'm sick of winter. I'm ready for it to be spring, but at least I have like a good enough excuse to stay inside and read. I started a rewatch of the very first anime that got me into anime today, and that is Inuyasha. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of that one, but I grew up on Inuyasha. It's what really got me into anime. I don't know if like I highly recommend it. Like I don't know if it's going to stand the test of time. Like I will let you know as I rewatch it. I watched 4 episodes today already, which they're like bite-sized episodes, like 20 minutes a piece, and I'm already having the best time with it, mostly in the fact that like the nostalgic factor is just delivering. Like just the overall feel of it, the aesthetics of the anime in general, like it just feels so like early 2000s, and I'm living for it. I've tried rewatching it several times in the past, but I've just always had a hard time like sticking it through, but I'm really hoping that I can stick this rewatch through because like I just want to like reach the end. I'm just like craving like finding a show, sticking to it, and reaching the end. Even though I have like so many animes that I've started and I've yet to finish. Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, Attack on Titan, so many. So I'm definitely going to be watching another episode or 2 of Inuyasha later, which I'm very much so looking forward to. I have plans to see Wonka tomorrow night, which I am very interested to see how I end up feeling about that movie. I feel like people were so surprised when they went and saw it and realized that it was a musical, and I'm like, Besties. The original is a musical. Hello? But I am very eager to see what the music is like in this version of Willy Wonka. Is it gonna hit in the way that the original hits? I'm not so sure about that. For the most part, I have a pretty chill week planned. I also have a live show at some point with my channel members. We do a weekly live show, and I also want to play some more cozy games. I've been getting into cozy games here recently. One that I played recently that I really enjoyed is called Mineko's Night Market. It's not perfect. It's got a few bugs here and there. It doesn't run so smoothly on the Switch, but I've really been enjoying that one. The Gardens Between is one that I've been really enjoying lately as well. It's like a cozy puzzle game, even though I am like completely stuck on a puzzle and I've been having to like hold myself back from Googling how to get through it, but like I'm getting to a point where it's been like a very long time since I've been able to pass that level, so I'm like, should I just Google the answer? Should I? But then also like, I don't want to be a quitter and just Google the answer, like that seems so lame. So anyway, that's kind of the vibe I'm going for this week. I'm gonna bring you guys along on the journey on all my cozy shenanigans, and let's get started with the reading vlog. Enchanted, and I cannot believe how obsessed I've become with this book. Like every time I read it, I am fully transported. It's one of those situations where like when I get into it, I am just like completely immersed in it. The writing style is on another level. I have not read a book with this rich of a writing style in such a long time. In particular, I'm talking about fantasy. Like I have not read a fantasy book that has felt this rich, that has felt this immersive in a very long time. And I've been a little bit nervous about this one because it falls under the romantasy category on Goodreads. That always just makes me a little bit nervous because while I love fantasy stories, when the romance takes kind of the lead of the story, oftentimes it just does not work for me. But the romance in this one has been so subtle. Like it's definitely there. There's definitely some seeds that are being planted and you know what it's going to grow into, but it's not too intense. It's not too hot and heavy, and it's not consuming the story. I'm quite literally obsessed with all of the characters. I would categorize this as a rather slow moving story, but I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think it's really working well for this story. It took like 50 pages before the actual main storyline kind of came into play. The romance has really taken its time to build. We don't even have that many interactions between the two love interests. I've literally been keeping notes and tracking things in my notes app, and the love interest only have 2 interactions by the 120 page mark, which I feel like is not a lot. And that just goes to show you how like slow burn it is. Their relationship is one that's a bit of like enemies to lovers, rivals to lovers. They definitely have a lot of history of like picking on each other when they were younger and just like having bad experiences with each other. But what I really love about this book is that they're coming together as adults, whereas all those bad things happened when they were kids. And they're basically getting to know new people because they are obviously not the same as they were when they were kids. There's so many elements in this book that I am loving. It's definitely a book that I was not expecting. I feel like I went into it just expecting it to only be following our 2 love interests, but it actually follows like quite a few people. We've got Jack's mom, who has a bit of a storyline. We've got Torin and Sidra, and I honestly thought that those characters would just be like side characters, and I guess that they are kind of, no, they're definitely like main characters. I would say like altogether there's like 4 main characters. Jack, Adara, Sidra, and Torin are all main characters in the story. The whole spirit aspect within the story is really enchanting, but also like really eerie and creepy. And obviously there's like a mystery happening about all these girls that are missing, and it's presumed that the spirits are the ones responsible for it. And so we're kind of like exploring that idea, and we're having characters kind of mess with spirits and try to get to the bottom of this mystery by kind of summoning the spirits and asking them questions and seeing if they know any information on the girls that have gone missing. And that element is just so rich and so good. I was like having such a weird experience reading this book the other night because like I was just having this feeling where I was just like so moved by the words on the page. It was such a weird experience, but like I just thought the words were so beautiful and just so intentional and just so like purposeful and strung together in just such a beautiful way. I was shocked by like how much I'm loving this. And I know that I'm like super hyping up this book. I haven't even finished the dang book, but like I'm just relaying my experience with that first 200 pages. So far it's just been a delight. I'm so excited about this book and I'm so excited to get to the end, but it's also one of those books that I just feel like I need to savor and I need to just like enjoy the process. I was a little sad to find out that this book has a sequel. It is a duology situation, so I won't have to read more than 2 books in order to finish this duology, but like I am just at a point where I'm like, I'm afraid that I will be a little unsatisfied by the end of this book if the main storyline surrounding the missing girls isn't tied together. I guess I just need to keep reading and see how I feel about how things end up being wrapped up. But if it's one of those situations where I feel like the author is just kind of dragging out the storyline into 2 books, I will be very disappointed because so far I'm gonna give this a 5 out of 5 stars. Like I just have a feeling it's a 5 out of 5 star read, okay? That's how impactful it's been. This reading experience has been incredibly impactful. It's definitely gonna be a book that I'm going to finish in the next few days because when I'm in it, I'm addicted. I don't want to be messed with. I just need to be immersed in this world. So I will keep you guys updated on how I feel about the end, obviously. Last night I went and saw Wonka, which I kind of had like really low expectations going into that movie just because I had seen like a lot of TikToks of people like not enjoying it or thinking that it was like super cheesy. Now after seeing it, I'm like, yeah, it was cheesy at moments, but like what did you expect out of a movie about Willy Wonka? Like, I thought it was delightful and charming. Did it have some weird elements thrown in there? Yes. Was it a little on the quirky side at times? Yes. Visually though, stunning. The acting was on point, and I had a fun time with a lot of the music. I got some book mail today. This is from HarperCollins. I have no idea what it is, so I thought that I would open it up with you guys. It's always nice when I'm on a book buying ban and I still receive book mail from book publishers. Ooh, it's a proof copy of A Talent for Murder by Peter Swanson. A newlywed librarian begins to suspect the man she married is a murderer in this spectacularly twisty and deviously clever novel by New York Times bestselling author Peter Swanson. I've not read anything by Peter Swanson, but I have heard some good things about his books. Not sure when I'll get around to it, but hopefully I can get around to it before it releases. The rest of my day is filled with filming. I have to film an Epic Adaptations episode. If you don't know what Epic Adaptations is, I do a monthly wrap up on young adult book to movie adaptations over on the Epic Reads channel. I've been doing it for like a long time. I don't remember the year I started, but I feel like it's been like 5-6 years. So I'm gonna film that, and then I think I'm gonna be a gamer later. I know I should be a reader later, but like I haven't played any games in a few days and I need to fill up my little gamer heart. So that's the plan. Friend has been raving about this boba. Did you even hear me over the shaking of that? My friend has been raving about this boba, so I decided to pick some up. I'm gonna try it on camera for you guys and give you my full review. I know you did not sign up for a boba review, but that's what you're getting right now. Mind you, this is the popping boba, not my boba of choice. Tapioca pearls all the way. There we go. Extending the straw. Time for the puncture. Here we go. I like it. It's not too intense of a flavor. I still prefer tapioca pearls. Not bad. I didn't even say what flavor it is. It's the strawberry lemonade green tea. I would recommend it. If you like popping boba, check it out. It's Joyba bubble tea. Unfortunately, I cannot drink this while I update you because I'll just get a bunch of balls in my mouth and it's hard to talk when there's lots of balls in your mouth. I finished A River Enchanted last night at like midnight and I have a lot of feelings. I freaking love this book. I was not going into it expecting it to become a new favorite, but it's a new favorite. It's a 5 out of 5 star for me, and not just only a 5 out of 5 star, like a full-on new favorite book. There are some books that I've given like a full-on 5 out of 5 stars. They just did not reach that full-on love, have a chokehold on me favorites list. This one did, so thank you very much for your recommendation. This was a rather slow-going book, and I did have to have some patience with it, and even though I did love it the whole way through, I did reach a point while reading this where I felt a little bit fatigued by its length. Again, it's still a favorite. I still loved it. I'm just having this moment where I'm having a hard time with big books, and I find myself in a place when I'm reading them where I just am like, can we get to the end already? What is taking us so long to get to the end? Mind you, while I wanted to reach the end of this book, I more so wanted to reach the end of this book in order to ensure that everyone was okay and that everything was all happy-go-lucky. And no spoilers, but this book destroyed me. This is a first in a duology, and I'm not sure if it needs to be a duology. I'm not sure if I will read the second book and be like, this could have easily been executed within one book. I will keep you updated when I read the sequel, because I will be reading the sequel. Oh my god. I need to know what happens next after that ending. That devastating ending. I'm so upset. But also, like, I know it's very clearly a setup for a new storyline, so it's fine. But it's also not fine because I'm not okay. But I loved everything about this book. I loved the characters. Each and every character within the story is fleshed out so well. You just like have an understanding for everyone. You get a lot of backstory for a lot of the characters. There's so many great interactions and banter between all of the characters, and the author just does such a fantastic job of making you care and making the characters feel real. The writing style is next level. Like, I can't even gush enough about the writing style. There were so many moments where I had like an out-of-body experience. Like, I can name 2 moments while reading this book where I was like having an out-of-body experience and fully sinking into the story. Like, that's how immersive the writing style was for me. I don't even remember the last time that I had an experience like that while I was reading a book. The world was fascinating, and it almost played as a character within the story, which I always love when that is kind of the case, where like the world itself sort of becomes a secondary character. In this book, it almost is like a main character, but anyway, it's not a world that's necessarily like built for you. Like, when you're dropped into the book at the beginning, you sort of have to begin to put the pieces together on your own. And even leaving this book, I don't feel like I know the full scope of the world, but I'm also okay with that. I feel like it had so many things going for it that I can overlook like one little flaw, which I don't even know if it's necessarily a flaw. It's just something that I want to point out in case anybody wants to pick up this book, that like you will have to put the pieces together on your own. The world building is kind of set up in a way where you're just plopped into it and you kind of have to sew it all together. I can't believe I already have another 5-star read under my belt this year. Like, I feel like I'm typically not finding my 5-star reads till the middle of the year for some reason, and it's exciting to be starting off my year with a few 5-star reads. The type of readers I would recommend this book to are people who don't mind slow burn romances, because it is very much so a slow burn romance. It is also a rather slow paced story. There is a lot happening, but the way that the writing style works is that it just like moves in sort of a slow pace. So you kind of just have to trust the process and be okay with it moving in a slower pace. I would almost recommend this for people who enjoy fairy tales, because I feel like the writing style reminds me of a fairy tale. It's very like whimsical, very atmospheric. That's something that comes through very strong. And I feel like if you're somebody who really enjoys strong character building, if you love any of those elements, then you might enjoy A River Enchanted. But yes, I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. In my mind, it's perfect. I will take no objections. I'm kidding, you can object, but like, I'm still gonna stand firm in my opinion, okay? I love this book. The next book that I'll be reading for this video is God Killer. This book recommendation comes from Millie. Thank you so much for your recommendation. This again is another Illumicrate edition, so I am a little bit worried about reading it, but like, my River Enchanted copy is fine, so this one should be fine too. We've got another fantasy situation here. I feel like you guys are getting me back into my fantasy era. I'm okay with it though. I'm not mad at it. I'll be honest, I'm going into this book not knowing too much about it, but in it we are following a character whose family has been killed by gods, and now she makes a living by killing gods. But when she comes across a god that she is unable to kill, things take a turn. I'm really looking forward to getting into this one. I'm hoping for another 5-star read, but I also don't want to get my hopes up because that could be a bad idea. So we're gonna go in with our hopes on the ground. I'll update you guys on my thoughts when I get about halfway through. Ignore my mess. yes, my disaster. I live here, okay? I live in my home, and this is a lived-in home. But also I'm insecure, so don't judge. I've been at the mechanics all morning because my check engine light came on, so I was able to read quite a bit, even though I did not enjoy being at the mechanics place. I would rather be here at my home, laying in bed reading or laying on the couch reading. But thankfully my mother came and rescued me and brought me back to my house, even though now that means I'm stranded. But I'd rather be here than there. But I was able to read quite a bit in Godkiller. Last night I read like around 60 pages, and then today I got to page 147, and so far, my thoughts, I really liked the opening sequences. Like, I feel like the first few chapters were really good and really solid. Specifically, like, the first opening chapter was fantastic. Like, I feel like it just kind of came in with like this really big action-packed scene that it was like very easy just to kind of get hooked into it. The thing that shocked me the most is that there are several point of views in this book. Like, there are a lot. I'm pretty sure there's like 4 POVs so far. We've got Kissen, Elo, Inara, and the god, what's his name? Sketty? It's Sketty for short. I can't remember the full name. Sketaseth, that's what it is. He's Sketty in my mind. I was just not expecting to have that many point of views throughout the story. But so far I really liked following everybody. I do feel like the story is kind of lolling a little bit. Like, I think because there is so much going on, there are so many characters, that it is kind of getting a little bit on the convoluted side of things. I'm still really enjoying it. I just feel like it's having a hard time kind of finding its footing right now where I'm at in the story. Like, I felt like the author did a really good job in the beginning in sort of introducing everybody and kind of setting the scene and giving you an idea as to where things were going to go. But right now I just feel like things are kind of getting a little bit busy, but also like the plot itself is just kind of falling into this sort of, I don't want to say boring, but that's kind of like what I'm trying to say, but I want to say it in like a nicer way, in a way where it's like I'm still enjoying the story, but it's just not super captivating at the moment, I guess is the best way to put it. Boring, respectfully. My goal is to finish this tonight. We're nearing the end of January, and my goal is to finish this book today, and then the next book for this video tomorrow. So we'll see if I'm able to make that work. I'm planning to continue to make progress in this as I wait for my car while I'm stranded and have nowhere to go. Hopefully I'll be updating you tonight. If I update you tonight, that means that I have finished Godkiller. It is nearly midnight. It's 11:43, and I just realized I really need to change my iPhone background. It's no longer Christmas, Jesse. Let's move on. I just finished Godkiller, and to be honest, I feel like I need to kind of sit with my feelings a little bit before I truthfully and confidently say how I feel about this book. But I do have some initial thoughts here. There were things about it that I really, really liked, and things that I thought it did really, really well. Like, the action scenes were some of the best I've ever read. They were done so well. The writing was so gripping in those moments. And even though at times, like, the character switching, the switching between all the POVs felt a little bit jarring, and I honestly didn't feel like I was getting attached to any of the characters. But then I reached the end and I was like, oh, I love these characters. These characters are now my babies. I think had I not grown such a deep attachment to the characters, that I would not care about this book. I'm gonna be so for real with you guys. Like, I feel like even had I felt just like iffy about the characters, that I would have a hard time connecting with this book, that I would have a hard time with this book in general. But because I love them so much, like, I feel like my rating is gonna be at least a 3.5, 4 out of 5 stars. I'm not sure yet. Then there were the things that I just felt fine about. Like, the writing in particular was something that I just felt fine about. I felt like generally it was just like a rather dry writing style. Again, there were moments where it was just like so excellent, so superb, and those moments came in with like the action scenes. And then on top of that, like, the novel itself just like is not balanced in terms of pacing. It's such a like whiplash experience, because you'll have these like crazy high stakes scenes, and then things will just like fall into this sort of almost sluggish pacing, and it was just like rough going back and forth. I just wish it would have like found its footing better, I guess. No spoilers, but I also sort of struggled with some of the aspects that came in with the ending. I felt like some things felt a little bit out of character. I'm not going to go into specifics, but a specific character felt a little out of character to me. And I feel like maybe I need more context. Like, maybe book 2 will sort of like reveal more context. Like, maybe with book 2 I will have a better understanding for that situation, but I just felt like it felt a little off. I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like a little frustrated by it right now. And I also wonder if I need to reread this book in order to like pick up on some hints about the things that happen. I did actually like the style of the ending though, I will say. Like, it was just full on chaos and I was here for it. It was a good time. It was wild. Those were my initial thoughts on Godkiller, but I will say I'm really glad that I read this book. Like, I did really enjoy it and I feel like the characters alone were worth it for me, and I'm excited to read book 2. I already have the Illumicrate edition of the sequel coming to me at some point this year, so I'm super excited about that. I pre-ordered it last year, having not even read this book. I'm exhausted, so I'm gonna go to sleep and I will wake up in the morning and share with you the last and final book that I will be reading for this video. Good night, even though I'm gonna see you in the next clip. I'm trying something new. I'm gonna have this Nitro Pepsi. It's smooth, creamy, easy to drink. Not sponsored, by the way. It's Vanilla Draft Cola. I'm not sure how I'm gonna like it because, like, I am a Diet Dr. Pepper boy through and through, but I'm gonna give this a go. I'm gonna give this a try. I was curious. Let's see what it's like. You're supposed to pour hard, so let's pour hard, you guys. Whoa, that's intense. Pouring hard. It's so pretty. Let's give it a try. I like it. It's very sweet, I will say that, but it's very smooth. It doesn't have like carbonation, which is something that I do like about soda, but I'm not mad at this. It's kind of tasty. It's just very sweet, very sweet. The next book I'm gonna be checking out is called This Appearing House. This book was recommended by CatMoon9936. They said one of my best books is This Appearing House. It's a middle grade about grief and healing, and it was amazing. You had me at grief. I've been wanting to read more middle grade books, so I felt like this one would be perfect. It does sound like it's going to be a rather heart-wrenching one that's gonna shake up my emotions, but I'm ready for my emotions to be thrown into a blender and blended up. This story is about this house that ends up appearing on this dead end where a house never used to exist. And we follow Jack, who is on the outs of her cancer journey. She was diagnosed with cancer 5 years ago, and she is hoping that she will be declared Ned, which is no evidence of disease. But when she begins to see the house at the dead end, this place where there didn't used to be anything, she is wondering if it's a symptom of her cancer. When Jack is dared to enter the house, she takes on the challenge, enters the house, and she realizes that the house is not going to let her go until she is able to give it something back. I'm hoping to finish this one today. It's a rather short book and the font is huge. I feel like I've been on a huge reading kick lately and I just want to like ride out the wave. I want to read all the things. So I'm excited to read this and I will update you as I get deeper into it. Let's go. I just got done doing reading sprints with my channel members and I was able to get pretty far into This Appearing House. I got to page 108, not too bad. I am really enjoying it. There are a few moments that feel a little preachy. Overall though, I'm really enjoying this. I felt like the buildup was pretty solid and I finally have gotten to a place where like things are really interesting. A group of kids have made their way into the house that appeared at the dead end, and sort of the events that are unraveling within the house are really gripping and eerie. And also I feel like it's kind of just reflecting our main character's journey with cancer. Her cancer journey I feel like is really being reflected in this sort of haunted house situation, and I feel like that aspect of it is just like making this story really interesting. So I feel like I'm on track to finish tonight, so I will definitely be updating you guys later on my thoughts on this book as a whole. I got some book mail earlier. My deluxe edition of Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief, came in. It's super shiny. Oh my gosh, it's just like such a stunning edition. I'm obsessed with it. Here's the actual cover. The sprayed edges have a lightning bolt on it, and inside there's these beautiful art pieces that I am obsessed with. Just overall very happy with this purchase. I did in fact read 3 books in order to earn this book, so I'm still sticking to my book buying ban, but it's nice in the fact that like I get to still buy books while I'm on a book buying ban. I just have to earn them. I truly don't have much planned for this evening other than reading. I might watch a show with dinner or something, but for the most part, gonna be reading. Appearing House, and I have some thoughts. I really enjoyed this. I thought it was a very solid middle grade book. I have a few complaints. One is that I just thought that the characters were just okay. Like I never found myself really connecting to them. I enjoyed following them, but I just didn't feel very strongly for them. And like I mentioned a little bit earlier about the cheesy writing, that like came back at the end and I was just like, no. I know I'm not the intended audience for this book, but it just felt cheesy, and preachy. I will say that I loved the plot and all the weird and trippy things that began happening. I never expected it to reach this like sort of disorienting level, but it does just that. And I was here for it. I was into it. It was a vibe. There's a scene where this kid is just like spitting up teeth, like just nonstop spitting up teeth, and teeth are just piling up and up within this room and just like filling it to the brim. Then there are other creepy visuals within the house itself, like a guy being stuck in a wall, the house itself talking to Jack. I still don't feel like I'm super familiar with the middle grade horror genre, but I was pleasantly surprised by the grim direction of this book. There were even some scenes that felt a little bit like Coraline-esque, specifically with the mother, albeit I don't feel like this book is like incredibly horror-esque. Like, it definitely is, like, creepy, but I feel like it's just more about Jack facing her traumas. She has all this trauma from her childhood and being a cancer patient, and her just having to deal with such a serious situation throughout her life, and she's super young, so just, like, having to deal with such a grueling and emotionally exhausting process when you're young is going to take a toll on you. And it's about her facing that trauma, facing the monsters, and kind of allowing herself to be angry, to be frustrated, and feel her feelings. I read the author's note and they mentioned the fact that they have been on their own cancer journey. While the author didn't necessarily like self-insert and kind of tell her own story through Jack, she definitely like pulled inspiration from her own cancer journey. So I know that this was a very personal book and I definitely have a lot of respect for it. I really enjoyed it. I think overall I would give this book a solid 3.5 out of 5 stars. Again, I just didn't feel super connected to the characters. I feel like had I felt a little bit stronger about them, then I would have felt the emotions a lot stronger too. But overall, really good, really enjoyed it, 3.5 out of 5 stars. We have reached the end of the video. This video was so much fun to film. I really enjoyed reading these books that you guys were excited about, and I feel like it was a win overall. Like, I might not have loved every single book within this video, but I'm leaving this video with a new favorite book. I'm obsessed with this book, quite literally obsessed with it, and I really freaking enjoyed these, and I have no regret reading them. Overall, a full-on success. I'm definitely going to be doing more videos like this in the future. I'll be asking for recommendations for different books, for different videos over on my community tabs, so be sure to look over there every now and then and see if I'm asking for recommendations if you want one of your book recommendations to be featured. Let me know down below in the comments if you guys have read any of these books and what your thoughts are on them. If not, then just let me know down below in the comments the books that you're currently working on, the books that you are currently reading. I want to hear from you guys. I'm going to be immediately turning around and starting the next vlog where I read some of your worst books from 2023, so look forward to that video. It'll be coming soon. If you like this video, be sure to go and hit that like button. If you want to see more bookish content from me, be sure to go and hit subscribe or go and hit that bell icon and you'll be notified every time I post new videos. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope your day is bright, that tomorrow is brighter. Keep reading what your heart desires, and I will see you soon with a new video. Bye-o. That was a weird bio, but we'll take it. It's fine. Everything's fine.